Hello my dear friend, I hope you are doing great. Welcome back to my channel. If you have not subscribed it, please subscribe it, press the bell icon, hit the like button also. Friends, as you know, we have already covered all the fundamental rights in our previous video. If you have not watched, please visit all of that. That will boost your confidence regarding political science syllabus. Because I have started all the syllabus from the scratch itself. That if you are an engineering background student, then you would not face any typical or any difficulty to listen or understand all the lectures. Now I am going to start about the Dpsp, Directive Principle of State Policy. You know, it comes under the Article 36 to 51, and it is not necessary to remember all the Dpsp because it plays a important role here for your preparation, but you will find not so many questions from the Dpsp. But what you have to learn or what you have to study, that I am covering here, and otherwise you can read all the Dpsp ones and you can like segregate according to the principles base, that Gandhian principle based and socialist principle based. That is all about the fundamental rights. And whatever may be the like prospective questions for the your preliminary examination or mains examination, you can utilize this statement in the mains examination also. That is like I am going to cover here. First of all, I want to tell you that what all the Dpsp, Directive Principle of State Policy, that came into existence after the Subproof Committee recommendation in 1945. That Subproof Committee in 1945 suggested two category of individual rights, one being justiciable and other is being non-justiciable rights. Justiciable means like these are the fundamental rights. Means it can be just you if there is a violation of the fundamental rights, you can reach up to the judiciary, and then judiciary role comes into play. They will protect your fundamental rights. And non-justiciable rights is the Dpsp, Directive Principle of State Policy. Yes, this is not inferior than the fundamental rights, because earlier it was a norms and people were, or our constitution interpretation was like that only. We are considering the Dpsp as a inferior quality of the rights. But this is the condition, or this is the issue, like our Bhimrao Ambedkar also told us that yes, these type of rights are not inferior. But right now, or that point of time in the 1950, our government was not suitable finding conditions, that there was not suitable condition for that to implement all the Dpsp. That's why these are the non-justiciable. If there is a violation of the Dpsp, cannot go reach up to the, or you cannot reach up to the judiciary for the violation of the Dpsp. Let's jump to the main thing. What type of directive principles are there? You will find that our like directive principle of the state policy classification, that Indian constitution has not originally classified, means our constitution is not classified Dpsp, but on the basis of their content and direction, we have to think, or we have to give emphasis on such type of word. That can be a, like prospective questions for your preliminary examination, that on the basis of their content, our constitution had not clarified or classified the Dpsp, but on the basis of their content and direction, they are usually classified into three types. What first one is socialist principles, and the second one is Gandhian principles, and the third one is liberal intellectual principles. And what are those? Like socialist principles. What is the definition of the socialist principles? They are the principles that aim at providing social and economic justice. Means they are providing social justice and economic justice and set up the path towards the welfare state. Under various articles, they direct the state to Article 38. Promote and the welfare of the people by securing a social order through justice, social, economic and political, and to minimize inequality in income, status, facility and opportunity. That comes under the Article 38. That's why it comes under the socialist principles. Means each and every person or society should have equal amount of money along with them. That is called the Article 38. And 39 is the secure citizens, right to adequate means of livelihood for all citizens. That's why our government is implementing Maganrega, that Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act. Under this act, that our you might have known this fact, our government is providing 100-day without, like, if a government is not providing task to do, then they can provide 100-day money to the poor people in the village area, rural area. That's why the right to educate means of livelihood for all citizens. That is the socialist principles. And Article 39A, Article 41, and like you can read out all the things from here, whatever like providing here. I am scrolling, that's why. And Article 42, 43, 43A, 47, and that Gandhian Principle. What is the definition of the Gandhian Principle? These principles are based on the Gandhian ideology used to represent the program of the reconstruction enunciated by the Gandhi during the national movement. What are the principles followed by the Gandhi? And that is enunciated, means they have come out from the Gandhi's principle, what they have followed in the during the freedom fight movement. Article 40, that organized village panchayats, because Gandhi was a proponent of this psychology that our India lies in the village itself. First of all, we have to grow our rural area, then only our India will grow. And Article 43, that cottage industry, and like even you might have aware about this fact that Gandhi was a proponent of the like own task, and we were totally dependent. Gandhi psychology was that if we will promote our like industry, that cotton industry, then only we would be able to grow, or we would be able to flourish our business and industry. Article 43B, 46 and 47, like even this was in the prominent, because right now are the famous actors and confiscated by the authority, and that narco department confiscated that guy, and you might have seen in the news that prohibit the consumption of intoxicating drugs and drink and drugs which are injurious to health. That comes under the 47. Even like providing nutritional food to the children also comes under the 47, Article 47. 48, cow slaughter is prohibited, and that liberal intellectual principle definition. This principle reflect the ideology of the liberalism under various articles. They direct the state to Article 42.4, Uniform Civil Code. Even I will talk about this Uniform Civil Code in the further video. And that the Uniform Civil Code is right now, you might have seen in very news, like in the UP, that so many people are against the intercaste marriage. In Haryana, you might have find so many examples of like that. Even Article 45 comes under the liberal like principles, and 48, 49 and 50. 51 comes under liberal Dpsp. And now I am going to tell you about the, because in the previous video I have left the Article 31A, B and C. Now I am going to tell you what is the Article 31A. Article 31A. Article 31A talks about the, like earlier Article 31. First of all, I want to tell you about the Article 31. Article 31 is about the right to property. Means if you are having any property, then you are the sole responsible, and you are earlier in like in 1950 there was a right to have property, and you are the solely responsible to dispose of that property. And but according to the 44th Constitution Amendment 1978, that our Parliament or our legislation eradicated all the fundamental rights regarding like Article 31, right to property, and Article 19 clause 1 clause F also like removed from our Indian Constitution, and now our legislation bring it to the under Article 300A. Now right to land or property is a legal right, not a fundamental right. And what is Article 31A? 31A is that if our government want to implement or want to construct any type of project or industry, then they can acquire the land of the normal people, or people means that nobody can prohibit our government or to acquire that type of land. That comes under Article 31A. For the larger public interest, this is the clause. If a larger public interest is there, then state government, our state can acquire land from the people. And Article 31B. 31B is talking about the you might have seen the example of the 1969 nationalization of the bank. 14 bank were nationalized, and for the larger public interest, if a government is distributing all the wealth among the Indian members, that comes under Article 31B. And what is Article 31C? Article 31C is government is implementing Article 31C and abolition of the Jamidari Act and that Privy Purse. That's why our government is violating the Article 14, 19 and 31. Even Article 31 disposed of our legislation by the legislation, that is the right to property. But if we are implementing Article 39B and C, and in that process, if our government or parliament is violating the Article 14 and 19, then that 31C will prevail, means there would be no violation of the fundamental rights in that case. And Article 31B was talking about the 31B talking about the Schedule 9 of the Constitution. Schedule 9, what is the Schedule 9? If earlier that was a norms, if you are putting any legislation or amendment in the article Schedule 9, then there would be no judicial review for that. That was the 31B. Please keep this thing in mind also. Now I am going to start from where the question you will encounter or grapple questions, and that can be beneficial for your preparation. First of all, I want to tell you that Bank Nationalization Act and Privy Purse Abolition Act. What is the Privy Purse? In the time of the independence, India was segregated and dissected into the several princely states. There were near about the 530 princely state in India at that point of time. But it was we should thank to our Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, and he made a very great contribution. He assimilated the thoughts, or some maybe by force, some may by the agreement and concurrence. He was able to unite the India. That's why we are calling Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel is a man of unity. And that point of time, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel promised so many persons, kings at that point of time. Yes, if you want to maintain your vintage car, if you want to have your vintage car, you want to have your all the palace, and you want to live luxurious life, then you can do all the things. But one important thing, you have to give your sovereignty to ours, and we would provide you the compensation for that, near about the 8.5% of the tax which you are giving to us. And if I will take example of the Hyderabad, that it was a huge revenue generated state that point of time, princely state, and it was getting near about the 75 lakh per month as their Privy Purse. And even I will take example of the Kakori, that was a small state at that point of time, and our government was providing him or it near about the 172 rupee, means all the remuneration and all the benefits were different according to their revenue generation. That was the Privy Purse. And nationalization of the bank, that earlier all the banks were the property of the private individual, and they were catering to that was the psychology of the Indira Gandhi. And she was telling that all the banks are catering to the only affluent family and that person who are very rich, and the banking facility is not providing to the poor people. That's why like Indira Gandhi promoted the, or they like she nationalized the 14 banks in 1969. But what is DPSP? Directive Principle of State Policy means, already I have told you that it is a like a non-justiciable right, but government want to implement if they are our like our condition is allowing us to implement all the such type of DPSP, then you can even like our government can implement such type of things. Like, and that point of time that Indira Gandhi nationalized the 14 banks, and even like but a case filed against the Indira Gandhi in the Supreme Court. How can you deprive us like individual property? That point of time Article 31 was there, and right to property have is the fundamental rights at that point of time. That came into existence the Article 31A, 31C. 31C is talking about the like if we are implementing, or we are like we are coming with the amendment, like 31C is talking about the if a government want to implement Article 39B and C. What is 39B and what is 39C? 39B is talking about the that there should be like a wealth should be equalized distribute among the members. That is the 39B. And what is 39C? Like concentration of the wealth should not be there. Means 39B is talking about the government can confiscate or government can acquire any land. 39B is talking about, and 39C is talking there should not be like a concentration of the wealth to this small number of people in the country. That is 39B. If we are going to implement 39B and C, and in the under process of the implementing 39BC, if there is a violation of the Article 14, 19 and 31, then it should not be like violation of the fundamental rights. That is the 31 was first C, and that came into existence by the 25th Constitution Amendment Act 1971. 39C added in our constitution in 1971 by the 25th, means we have amended our constitution 25th time, and then it came into existence. And even like that could not be judicial review under judicial review. That comes under the Article 31B. Means there would not be any judicial review if we are implementing Article 31C. Means that would be fixed, and because that point of time we were considering that if our government or legislation or parliament is implementing any law and they are putting in the schedule 9, then there would not be judicial review. But in the 1973 you might have aware that even I have already like told you several times that case 1 and the Bharati case 1973 came, and that comes that is talking about the basic structure of the constitution, and judicial review is the basic structure of the constitution. After 1973 our government came up with the decision, or our judiciary explained this provision that yes, before 1917 whatever like law, before 1973 whatever law you have made and you have putting in the schedule 9, then there would be no judicial review. But after this day, 24th April 1973, if there would be the like you are putting the any legislation in the schedule 9, then there would be provision of the like judicial review. This is the clause in the 1973 added. And if I will go about the history, what was the history of the Dpsp? Dpsp history was that in 1951 we were considering Dpsp the inferior rather than the fundamental rights. At that point of time we were, or even Supreme Court said like in its landmark judgment, that was a Duraiya Rajan case in the 1951 itself, like even like Jamidari Abolition Act and land reforms declare unconstitutional. Which in 1951, like I have already told you regarding Jamidari Abolition Act and land reforms, what like earlier that point, what was that situation? First of all I want to explain you that point of time all the lands were like a property of some individuals. That point of time Jamidar was there, and government want to like distribute all the lands among the peasants, poor peasants and the villagers. That's why government came up, or that point of time, or like prime minister came up with this type of legislation that we would distribute all the lands among the poor people, and that is called Jamidari Abolition Act or Land Reforms Act. Even in 1951, Supreme Court declared unconstitutional, because that point of time, or even up to that point, we were considering the DPSP inferior than the fundamental rights. If for implementation of the DPSP, if there is a violation of the fundamental right, then we would declare unconstitutional such type of amendment. And in 1958, like there was a like case, we were talking about the whatever like have put by the our judiciary or our legislation in the schedule 9, then there would be no judicial review, and that is the even the Jamidari Abolition Act was put in the schedule 9 itself. But our Supreme Court came up with the principle of the doctrine of the harmonization, means there should be harmonization between DPSP and the fundamental rights, that nothing is inferior there. But up to that time we were considering the DPSP inferior, but there should be harmonization between the fundamental rights and DPSP also. But you know that special time came in the 1975, and that was a very typical time for the Indians. At that point of time, emergency declared by our Prime Minister Indira Gandhi, and after like a 1975-1976 Constitution Amendment Act, 42nd Constitution Amendment Act 1976 came into existence. At that point of time, like our constitution or amended by the 31st C amendment again, and one more line added in the, that if we are implementing one or more DSP means like we are giving preference number of DPSP, and we are implementing one or more DSP if they are violating of the article 19, 14, 19 and 31, then DPSP would prevail. That was the situation in 1976 Act. But that point of time, in 98, Minora Mill case was that, and that was a landmark judgment. In that case, all DPSP cannot be the supreme or superior than the all fundamental rights. Government or Supreme Court gave its verdict or pronounced its verdict, and Supreme Court told to the our citizen or our parliament or our legislation, DPSP can be important, or the Article 31st C is valid, and you can implement and you can violate Article 14 and 19, but more than that Article 31st C, you cannot prevail like DPSP would prevail over the fundamental rights. That was the situation in Minora Mill case 1980. And you can refer whatever I am telling here, you can refer from this PDF, and you will find all the things here itself. Even 1951 case is there, and 1916 Golaknath case was also there, that Supreme Court ruled that amendment fundamental rights to implement Directive Principles policy. Means we cannot amend the fundamental rights at that point of time. But in 1980, our Supreme Court gave its verdict that yes, you can implement Article 31st C is valid, and but only 31st C is prevail over the Article 14 and 19. This was the case. And 44 Constitution Amendment 1978, already I have told you that right to property or right to property and comes under the Article 31st, and Article 19 clause 1 clause F was deleted from our Constitution book. And Article 19(1) or clause F was saying that right to acquire and dispose of your property, means you are the sole responsible for dispose of your property, and that is the sole responsibility of your travel. But that eradicate or removed by our legislation from the Constitutional book, and that put into the Article 300A, that is the legal right of our Indians. And what is the meaning to remove the right to property from the fundamental rights? that point of time one of the ministers like who came up with such type of logic or amendment, and he was asked by the speakers in during the legislation process and during the Lok Sabha proceedings. Then minister explained, yes, there is a sanctity about the fundamental rights, means we cannot amend each and every time fundamental rights, but this fundamental right like a right to property, article 31st, amended several times due to the Supreme Court verdict or this due to legislation amendments or constitution amendments, and that could not be happen because we are considering the fundamental rights pure and very sanctified, and it is not healthy to amend each and every time. That's why like our government or our legislation should remove this type of legislation from the fundamental rights and please put it into the legal rights only. Then like you will find such type of questions in the preliminary examination, that what type of thinking or psychology they were having like B.R. Ambedkar and Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru about the Dpsp and fundamental Dpsp. What is the Dpsp as per the perspective of the Ambedkar? Dpsp, Directive Principle of State Policy, means that gentleman or that or like a constitutional framer told us that in Dpsp is not inferior the fundamental rights, and they are not enforceable in the our legal system or judicial system or in court of law. But what is the situation? Because we are not having or we are having scarcity of the resources, that's why our state not able to implement all the things at that point of time, or in the future maybe like we can implement such type of things like even like Ambedkar told that point of time, yes, there not may be a like legal sanction for that such type of Dpsp, but there is a political sanction. Political sanction means like if Dpsp is about the providing welfare state and providing facility to the people. What is the political sanctity? If any government like if I will talk about the BJP or I will talk about the Congress, if at that point of time they are not providing within the 5 years, that government is not providing or like equal remuneration to the people, or they are not providing hygienic condition, nutritional food that comes, or they are not able to like abrogate all the intoxicate drinks and all things, then definitely people would not happy with them and they would not give them vote. This is the like political sanctity like attached with the Dpsp. Means if any government is not able to implement Dpsp, then definitely in the next term that our people would not give them vote. This is the situation. And now I am going to talk about the Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru perspective regarding what is the Dpsp and what type of like quote that person gave to the Dpsp. That according to the Nehru, Dpsp is a lighthouse of the our constitution, means they are providing enlightenment to the constitution. If we will not implement Dpsp, then definitely we would not grow. And according to the first Chief Justice of like Justice Kania, that he told that majority of people want it, but means Dpsp are not in the constitution. That's most of the our legislation or like our parliament members are agree with that. No, Dpsp are there in the constitution because the people are the yearning for such type of rule and regulation. That's why they are in the constitution. Even like Pandit Nehru told about the Dpsp, they are like the blank check. What is the blank check? Means definitely right now like our government is not able to provide all the Dpsp, but in the future if we would in that condition, that definitely that blank check can be filled by the our government and we will able to enjoy the Dpsp, whatever Dpsp providing us rights. And if I will talk about the that article, I have already told you article 40 is about the panchayats, that we have to provide the panchayat raj institution, and we will talk this type of like if I will talk about the lecture of the panchayat institution and municipality, then I will clarify all the things about the article 40. Article 40 is talking about the panchayats, and article 41 is talking about the right to work, right to education and public assistance in like a Manrega. And Article 42 is about the provision of the just and humane condition for the people who are working, and that maternity benefit, talking about the Article 42. These are the important DPSP. That's why I'm telling you that Article 40 is talking about the panchayats, Article 14 talking about the right to work, right to education, and public assistance. And Maganrega comes under the Article 42 itself, 41 itself. And 42 is talking about the humane condition. You should, like, if you are working in any environment, then environment should be humane. It means conditionality. You should not work in the filthy ground or filthy workplace. That would be the violation of the DPSP. That comes under Article 42. What is 49? 49 is like protection of the monuments. Whatever the monuments we are having in our India, we can, like, we should protect them. And what is Article 50? That separation of the judiciary from the executive, and that came into the existence in the 1973 when the Criminal Procedure Code implemented by our legal system. And Article 15 talking about the promotion of the internal peace between the, like, between the countries and on the international level. And that is, like, all about the DPSP. Tomorrow I will talk about the Uniform Civil Code and another further DPSP. And if you are liking my initiative, please subscribe my channel and share my video among your friends. And whatever, like, I am providing here, I am scrolling for you your reference. You can pause the video and you can refer all the, like, a PDF from here. Thanks for watching. I will come tomorrow with the more data and information. Bye.